Hi, everyone, and welcome. I hope that lots of people have time to join us. We're going to be starting in just a couple of minutes. Just make sure that everyone is ready. While we're waiting for this amazing night, I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Carolina Olsson, and I am the event manager for World Space Summit. Today, we have reached the third of our pre-events that we're doing before this amazing conference. The first one was focused on the early days of SpaceX with Eric Berger, and we also learned a little bit about Starlink. The second one, we focused on Sweden in space history, and we got a chance to listen to Christoph Fuglesang. And this time, we have moved on to another very, very important question. We're going to discuss space and sustainability. And with us today to do this, we have the Swedish space designer, in fact, the only one that we have so far, Cecilia Hertz. And she is going to give us an insight in why it's so important to use the knowledge that we have learned developing space design and developing space tech to make the future a better place. But this is not all. The pre-events is not all that we have to offer. Isn't that right, Rich?
Yes, that's right. It's been a really, really exciting summer for the Warp Space program, and it's all going to culminate into our main event on September 19th, the Warp Space Summit. It's happening both live in person in Linköping, Sweden, and also, of course, digitally right here on Hopin. We've got a lot of people really looking forward to it. Hopefully, all of you watching this right now are registered. If not, head on over to warpspacesummit.org and make sure you get your ticket for the Warp Space Summit today. And we really look forward to joining you for that on the 19th of September. And I think we are almost ready here for the presentation with Cecilia.
I think we are. And of course, we wanted to give a little bit of a shout out to our partners in crime.
Yes.
Who do we have with us today?
Yes, of course. So we have Cavalcade District from Sweden, and they are a space district facility right outside the city of Linköping.
We have incredibly happy to have them. We couldn't do it without them, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And of course, we have the city of Linköping itself, where the Space Summit is being hosted on the 19th. And Warp News, of course, which is, I am one of the co-founders and very happy to be working very closely with Carl here and the Warp Space program to get this thing underway this year.
And with that said, having the optimistic mindset based on facts, we want to give you a little bit of a presentation with Cecilia Hertz. Enjoy.
My name is Cecilia Hertz, and I'm founder and managing director of Umbilical Design. I started my company 20 years back in Stockholm, Sweden. The title of today is Why Space? Because Earth depends on it. Let us explore more about space and sustainability. But first, it all started with this little vehicle, the crew return vehicle. We were 4 students that were lucky to do our diploma work at NASA Houston Johnson Space Center in cooperation both with NASA and ESA, the European Space Agency. And here you see how it was planned as a lifeboat for the International Space Station, and our task was to come up with a new interior concept for the vehicle. It brought us into adventures even in weightlessness flights like this, you can see. We were happy to be selected as one of 30 projects to fly in ESA Parabolic Flight campaign in Bordeaux in France. When you experience weightlessness, you go up and down in parabolas, and each parabola you're weightless for 30 seconds. And it's great fun, so I can really, really recommend it. And during those periods, it was actually 30 periods, so we had a lot of time to explore and try out our design solutions. And here you see the result, the outcome. The main outcome, I would say, was that instead of having a flat floor with 7 seats upon it, we integrated the seats in the floor structure. By that, we saved a lot of weight, and that's very important in the space sector. And we also, by this new configuration, we increased the volume for the technical systems. This was an amazing project, being at NASA, exploring with astronauts, fantastic engineers and designers. So this inspired me to start my own company directly after my master degree of industrial design from Lund Institute of Technology. And the goal was to put Sweden on the international space design scene. Then you might question, what's so special with all these space materials? It's because the climate in space sets high demands on material and technical solutions, as we have everything from extreme changes in temperature, blending sunlight, low gravity, strong winds, radiation, etc. And this creates materials that has low weight, and they are stronger, more durable and reliable, and they have a low sensitivity to changes in temperature, radiation and corrosion. And this can all be used in as competitive advantages in commercial products. As well, we should never forget the human factor. Here you see our Swedish astronaut Christer Fuglesang eating candy in the International Space Station. So they sure enjoy themselves as well, besides all the hard research work they do, of course. And we also look into the behavior changes and inspiration from the astronaut. I will talk about that later. Just to give you a few examples, space technology can create value in so many different industries. We have been working with everything from construction sector to industrial protective clothing to a lot of extreme sports industries. And to give you a little bit more of insight from one specific project, we have been working for several years with the steel industry. And here you can see me and my team on a field visit where we worked with the future of control rooms for steel industry. By working in that environment, we realized also that there is a need for protective clothing, and we decided to do also underwear in the middle of this future control room. So together with Björn Borg and the steel industry, we created Thunderwear, a prototype collection, where we identified a space fabric normally used in the astronaut suits, and the space fabric can resist heat up to 350 degrees Celsius. And by this collection, we can protect steel workers from burns and scars, and it's a no coating, so it's a fiber in itself that actually creates and resists the heat, and it's also biodegradable. And I was happy to give away the first pair of underwear to Richard Branson when he was here visiting Stockholm, Sweden, and that was of course a special moment. Well, from underwear to urbanization and urbanites. We see that the population will grow and increase a lot that will live in cities by 2050. And we also see that the extreme environment of space can now create value for the extreme cities, and see how can we use all the knowledge we know from the space sector and integrate it into the cities. So we can have urbanites, like urban astronauts in the cities. And when you think about it, space and sustainability, first it seems a bit strange maybe to connect, but if you look at this, a future prototype of a habitation on Mars, you see there, I mean, of course it's a totally closed system, and everything needs to be reused, recycled, and we see everything as resources and no waste. So when people started to talk about the circular economy, it was so obvious that this is what we have been doing for so many years in the space sector, and there are so many lessons learned that we now can share for the benefit of planet Earth. We talk about astronaut lifestyle, as the astronaut consumes exactly the amount of water, energy, and food and volume that they need. For example, water, here you see an astronaut taking a shower and have this wet sponge. So the astronaut consumes 26 liters of water per person a day on the International Space Station. And here in Sweden, we consume 160 liter water per person a day. So indeed, we have a lot of things learning from the astronaut lifestyle. And for example, the astronaut, they have tailor-made food with exactly the nutrition they need per day. So there is no waste. Another area that is very interesting is that the experiments going on of growing food in space to get most nutrition on small areas. And I think this is really a future area, how space can contribute for future food production. One project I wanted to mention that was directly inspired from the crew return vehicle was when I got the invitation for a birdhouse project from Japan as one of 9 space architects in the world. So this house construction or future living concept I call the sea scraper. So instead of a skyscraper, it is planned to stand in the sea and using the water for cooling and heating the building. And also the idea is to have small modules that can be moved around to other sea scrapers around the world. And here we see directly how it can be inspired from the space and space technologies, and also in integrating things like rising water levels, sea levels. And we learn, of course, a lot from our friends at both NASA and ESA and the other space organizations. Here is an example when we visited NASA Ames with a Swedish astronaut, Christer Fuglesang. And this specific visit was to learn and understand about the NASA Ames sustainability base, where they have built up an office building integrating space technologies. And to give one example, it consumes 90% less water than a traditional building. And here you can see the actual building used as an office building at NASA Ames Center outside of San Francisco. And to spread the knowledge, we do arrange big like round tables, for example, with the European Space Agency. Here we discussed with non-space and space companies of how we can integrate lessons learned from space sector to create new sustainable innovations. And we invited the whole European Space Agency network of ESA, BIC and brokers to Sweden a couple of years ago, where we really explored and had 10 companies invited that had challenges on the sustainable city. And we were 100 people working in a space impact workshop. And we also, of course, always keep an eye what's going on in the space sector. Just to give one example, the Moon Village initiative by European Space Agency, where we see we can learn a lot from artificial intelligence, robotics and 3D printing, and also see how can this be implemented in our everyday life and create value here on Earth. And to give one example of a specific material, I would like to show the aerogel, which is really fantastic and environmentally harmless and recyclable. And this one we had integrated in a paint, so we can actually paint houses with that, and by that saving energy. So with all the lessons learned, you see that it's so important that we bring all the knowledge from space down to Earth for sustainable development. So one example I would like to mention that is very important is an initiative I have started with Peace Park Foundation. It's a space for wildlife. As I understood that it's 55 elephants and 3 rhinos are killed every day because of their tusks and horns. And learned also that in only 40 years, the number of wild animals on our planet have decreased by 60% and the biodiversity is threatened. So this is why we started the initiative, to see how space technology now also can help stop poaching. All right, some final reflections from my side. Now when you have seen so many examples of space technologies and how it can create value, and the astronaut lifestyle, what is needed to create the new innovations, we should never forget the importance of teamwork and cross-fertilization. That's one really important thing, that they are so good in the space sector to work over borders. And also a saying from my former professor Jan Alin at the Lund Institute of Technology. He used to say that design is color, form, function, ergonomics, interaction, but it's also to refrain. And this was said by him 20 years ago, and now I think it's even more important to really take responsibility on what do we contribute to create and what do we not contribute to create for projects and products. And this is of course important, that we continue challenging both ourselves and our clients. Of course, it takes courage. We all know that, and it's super important, especially in this time with all challenges we have for achieving achieving Agenda 2030. So that's why I say I used to collect on the why not people. And that is people when they are confronted with new ideas or a bit odd ideas, they say why not? And these are the people that will explore and make sure that the new innovations that we so much need for Agenda 2030 will come to our planet and for the benefit of our planet. And by that, I want to say thank you so much, and happy that you listened and see how now space can contribute for sustainable development. Thank you very much.
Well, that was really fascinating. Thank you, Cecilia, for that awesome talk. So much could come out of space exploration, and that's so easily forgotten in a lot of people's minds who aren't really on the in the know or on the forefront or interested in space tech. But already, even all the way back to the beginning of the space programs back in the 1960s, it's contributed so much to technical development here on Earth, and so many important things have come out of it. Just up until today. So seeing what the future could bring, I definitely want a pair of Thunderwear. I don't know about you, but that's pretty awesome. Aerogel, the sea scrapers. Wow, talk about places for people to live as we run out of land, possibly in the future. The concept of the sea scraper. Really fascinating.
I sort of knew that the Thunder one would be a really special one for you. I especially loved how she pointed out that she is really loving the why not people, the people who kind of go, why not? Why can't we do it? And I think that within the warp community, most people are like that.
That's
sort of suits quite well, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It's one of the foundations of optimism, is having that why not attitude. There's a solution to everything.
And I mean, this is something that we discuss quite a bit, isn't it? Because one of the things that we hear about space is that, why bother with space when we have so many problems on Earth? But Cecilia doesn't agree, obviously.
Absolutely. And it's that innovation of space exploration that kind of creates that creativity that brings these Earth technologies to the next level. And sustainability is a really key area that can benefit in the near future.
Certainly is, and we're really pushing it now, aren't we? Because we're on the brink of actually doing this part of the exploration. We are moving to Mars. We are having this plan, and it's wide open. I mean, if you want to sign up now, you can actually do that. I had the amazing opportunity to meet Cecilia in person, and as you might have noticed on the film, we're shooting it live at the Tekniska Museet moving to Mars. That's why you saw some people walking around in the background. And if you haven't been there yet, I do urge you to go and see it, because it is an incredible show of all the ingenuity and the innovation that we have already done, and some of it that is on the way. And maybe we'll have a chance now to see a little bit of a glimpse of the exhibition when we hear a little bit more from Cecilia. Welcome to Tekniska Museet. We are standing here in their amazing exhibition, Moving to Mars. And there's a lot of interesting questions that we're going to approach when we walk around a little bit. But one of the things that you always talk about is the astronaut lifestyle. What is that exactly?
Astronaut lifestyle is super important, and I think it can be really inspiring for us here on planet Earth. The astronaut consumes exactly the amount of water, food, energy and volume they need. And for example, when it comes to food, they have exactly the nutrition that is needed, so there is no waste. So it's tailor-made for each astronaut what they eat. And here we see a hydroponic cultivation. And this is one area that I'm sure we will see more on planet Earth, because we have a growing population, as we all know, and it will be new ways of growing food in the future.
Amazing stuff, right? And these are the things that we really want to talk about. So what we're going to do now is that we're going to try to delve into the tool, hop in, that we're all a part in now, and use the functions to get to know each other a little bit better. So maybe we explain it a little bit. What do you think, Rich?
Yeah, of course.
I'll start. We have one function called sessions. And in sessions, you have the opportunity to talk to a larger group of people. So this is where we're going to do some of the smaller, more kind of intimate group sessions. And you find this next on the, it's on the left side, right?
Yes,
and
that's right.
In a couple of minutes time, it should be lighting up. And that means that you can join in session. And here we want to approach some of the questions that we probably have in our minds from listening to this talk today. Astronaut Lifestyle, yes or no, do you want to go to Mars, and things like that. But if you don't want to be in a group session, we also have an option for that.
Yep, and that is going to be called networking, and that is also on the left, right below sessions. You can join networking and talk to one-on-one. It will pair you randomly with another Hopin participant. You can get to know each other a little bit, add each other as contacts right here in Hopin. And as we approach the main event of the Warp Space Summit on September 19th, it gives you an opportunity to sort of get to know one another on a one-on-one level as you have an opportunity to meet each other, maybe in person or maybe back here on Hopin on the 19th. So we will see you over there in sessions and networking in just a moment.